Before I introduce the next speaker, I just want to say a couple of things very briefly. Lately, there has been a hysteria which almost verges on warmongering, and this relates to developments in the Korean Peninsula. The target of this warmongering is none other than the tiny and heroic people of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. What have they done? Korean people have committed no aggression against anyone. Korean people have wronged no one anywhere. Korean people have been the victims of aggression. The Korean War waged by US imperialism with British imperialism on its side and several other satellites, they lost 4 million people. Instead of us asking the Koreans to apologize for breathing, our rulers should get up every morning and send apologies to Pyongyang saying, we are very sorry that what we've done to you. Koreans are told that they are horrible people. Why? Because they have developed nuclear weapons. The biggest stockpile of nuclear weapons happens to be in the United States of America and in Russia. Korean weaponry, in terms of its size, is insignificant compared with what you find in the United States. What's more, the United States is the only country that has ever used these weapons. And it was able to use these weapons at a time when no other country had these weapons. And when the Soviet Union developed its nuclear weapons, that acted as a brake on US imperialism using these weapons. So what kept us away from nuclear war was not American nuclear weapons, but Soviet nuclear weapons. You have seen in the last couple of decades America and Britain invading country after country. But they have not been able to do that with the DPRK. If Libya, if Iraq, if Syria had nuclear weapons, would they be invaded? No, they wouldn't. So the Koreans have taken the cue that the only way they can protect themselves is by having nuclear weapons. And I'd like you, Comrade Kim, to take this message from us that our party fully supports your stance and you are perfectly entitled to develop nuclear weapons until such time as we have universal, non-discriminatory, and verifiable nuclear disarmament. With these introductory remarks, it's my pleasure to call upon Comrade Kim to address you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. So we are gathered here today to celebrate the October Revolution. So this event was very significant. In this opportunity, I'd like to say a few words about UNITE on behalf of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in London. The victory of the Socialist October Revolution in Russia, marked by a special event on the history of mankind, and the victory of the former Soviet Union against the aggression of the fascist Germany and against the invasion of international reactionary forces, including the imperialist monster. The victory of the Great Fatherland Liberation War was a victory of justice and historical of the unified strength of the people who worked for the socialist cause. There is a fierce confrontation between progress and reaction in the international stage today. Imperialist and international reactionary forces are trying to prevent the advance of history and eradicating the people's sovereignty. People's independence and peaceful of exploits are carried out in a fierce confrontation with the imperialist forces. It is human nature to live independently and development. It is the common ideology of the independent peoples that all nations, all peoples, should achieve equal rights and national prosperity in a peaceful environment. This noblest ideology of the progress mankind can be only realized through a struggle against the imperialist forces for eradicating him. Imperialism is the main enemy to prevent the movement of the popular masses for independence. And also imperialism is the most dangerous aggressive force to block popular mass of the independence. Apart from struggle against imperialism, people cannot defend the sovereignty of the country and the dignity of the nation and build a new world of independence. The anti-imperialism struggle is a confrontation between justice and injustice. Without unity, we cannot win the confrontation with international imperialist forces, and we cannot advance history. If we united, could become stronger. If we scattered, we could become weaker. The imperialist forces can harm individuals, countries, and peoples, but it is impossible to destroy the progressive forces that has united under the banner of independence. If the popular masses fight firmly under the banner of independence and peace, the imperialist forces would not be able to run, so the imperialist forces are most afraid of unity of anti-imperialist forces. The imperialist forces are small number, and the people who are desiring the independence cover the huge number in the world. Our Korean international suffering was regarding Comrade Kim Il-sung as a shining star and united in the center of him for fighting with the anti-Japanese aggressors. At last, our Korean created a Liberation Day. And also our Korean People's Army defeated the US imperialists and protected our sovereignty from US invasion in the Korean War due to the United. The unity of the progressive people is based on the spirit of national independence. When the progressive people unite on the basis of independence in the first place of prosperity development of a nation, it can become solidarity and powerful. It is the law of historical development that a people's independence exploits win. Today, the imperialist forces have been trying to prevent the advanced movement of error. The progressive peoples of the world are firmly united under the banner of repentance, peace, and patriotism, deeply engraved in the truths of the history. We have to keep moving forward for the independence. The Workers' Party of Korea will firmly stand to defend the socialist banner forever. Thank you.
You can see from the response that there are two Britons. The Britain of the exploiters that reviles you, that denounces you, that treats you badly. But there's also the Britain of working class. Even if we happen to be the tiny representative of that working class, you're very welcome.